on 877-381-3811. Well, the Democrats have nominated an individual in Florida they know who cannot win. That is, he cannot win if he comes fully out of the closet and exposes his socialism, his radicalism. A study was just done that indicates that this gentleman, Mr. Gillum, would raise corporate income taxes to 40%. 40%. I suspect he'd push for income taxes, federal income taxes, because that's what radical progressives do, to redistribute wealth. He believes in single-payer Medicare, which will destroy Medicare for those who already receive it and destroy all remaining private health care plans. Finally, putting the knife in the heart of private health care. He believes in sanctuary cities. You take the radical position that's out there from the left, and Mr. Gillum supports it. That is why today none of that is being debated. Instead, we have a lie. Now, it is a lie that Ron DeSantis, who served in the United States military in 2 theaters, who served in Congress now for 3 terms, who's been all over the media, that he said something that's racist. So here we have a man who won the Republican nomination for governor, and then apparently he comes out of the closet as a white supremacist. Now, I want you all to be aware of this, because this is the game plan all the time now. The more radical, the more left the Democrat Party and its candidates are and become, the more they try to run their campaigns not on their radical ideology, but on character assassination. And this is something they picked up from the old Soviets. This is something they picked up from Marx and Engels themselves. This is what you do. It's an Alinsky tactic. He wrote all about it. You got to target your enemy, personalize it, and destroy their character. And they're Alinskyites. That's what Gillum is. The Democrat Party is stunned that this radical won the nomination with about 1/3 of the vote. He wouldn't have won the nomination if there weren't so many candidates running. They had supported a liberal Democrat by the name of Graham, the daughter of Bob Graham, who is a well-known governor and senator of Florida, very, very popular. She tried to claim she was a moderate, even though she was a liberal. That said, Gillum was campaigning with Bernie Sanders. But now they don't want to run on socialism. They want to run on racism. Because they know running on socialism in Florida will result in an electoral landslide for Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is running as a conservative. He's unabashed. He's unequivocal. He's articulate, he's charismatic, he's a good-looking guy, and he walks the walk. So immediately, the next day, they pull the race card. Now, I want you to hear this interview. Perfectly innocent. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Well, look, I mean, Florida elections are always competitive, and this is a guy who, although he's much too liberal for Florida, I think he's got huge problems with how he's governed Tallahassee. He is an articulate spokesman for those far left views, and he's a charismatic candidate. And I watched those Democrat debates. None of that was my cup of tea, but I mean, he performed better than the other people there. So we've got to work hard to make sure that we continue Florida going in a good direction. Let's build off the success we've had on Governor Scott. The last thing we need to do is to monkey this up by trying to embrace a socialist agenda with huge tax increases and bankrupting the state. That is
to monkey this up. Did you hear him call Gillum a monkey, Mr. Producer? I didn't hear that, did you? Did you hear him make any reference whatsoever to Mr. Gillum's race? Did you hear that? No. To monkey this up, this is a phrase people use all the time. Don't throw a monkey wrench into the system. Don't monkey it up. In other words, don't screw things up, and so forth and so on. And so, of course, the Democrat Party jumps, as they must. They jump. And so now, going on 2 days, I guess, the issue is, what did he mean by monkey up? He called the other candidate and said he was monkeying up. No, that's not what happened. And by the way, it's up there or has been on the Drudge Report all day. So the left narrative is spread all around the media. All around the media. The left's narrative is out there being pushed. Not Gillum's radicalism, not what he would actually do to the citizens of Florida, to the small business owners, to the consumers, to the senior citizens. He would destroy that state. He'd turn it into another deep blue state. All the people who've left New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania and other states to get away from their regulations, to get away from their taxes, to get away from that, Mr. Gillum promises to bring to Florida. And so they take what is... Here's the thing. Nobody buys this. Nobody listening to this show buys it. White, black, Latino, it doesn't matter. Nobody buys this. Everybody knows that this is a Democrat tactic that is used time and time again. Mr. Gillum is even using it. That should tell you what a fraud he is and what a fraud these people are. And by the way, folks, if you Google and really dig into this, you'll see that Mr. Gillum is surrounded as mayor in Tallahassee with corruption. Surrounded. So this is how the left-wing, let me see if I can find it. Let's see. The left-wing Tallahassee Democrat, well, anyway, I can't find it right now. They're pushing this. Every so-called free press outlet is pushing it over and over and over again. And they pull this with conservatives all the time. Ronald Reagan was a racist. Donald Trump is a racist. Nixon with his southern state policy, racist. They used to call John McCain a racist until they decided to love him. John McCain, racist. Mitt Romney was a racist. And why the Republican Party and Republican sites and Republican organizations and conservatives allow them to get away with this, I will never know. Since it's the Republican Party that has fought against slavery and segregation and Jim Crow and all the rest of it. That's the history of the Republican Party. Mr. Gillum has thrown in with the hard left. That's what he is. He's a leftist. And now the people of Florida have a wonderful choice. A wonderful choice. This is not a race between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. This is a race between another radical progressive who wants to destroy what takes place in Florida, the vibrancy of that state, the economy of the state, the growth, the economic growth, the demographic growth of that state. Wants to destroy all that's been done, all that's been produced over decade after decade after decade, because he has a new idea, you see, called democratic socialism, which is the oldest idea. Which is the oldest idea. Call it feudalism, monarchalism, call it whatever you want. The centralization of government. Another state. He wants to create another failed state. You want to see these failed states? Look at California. Look at Illinois. Look at New Jersey. Look at New York. They're all over the place. Citizens trying to escape one state to get to another. That's why Gillum wants to run this race on allegations of racism. Going to monkey things up. Was that the phrase, Mr. Producer? Monkey up things. Wow. You know, when I do Levin TV, from time to time, I'll go on the set, and I have to read certain commercials and so forth. And I often joke, just give me that stuff, I'll read it like a monkey. It doesn't even occur to me that has a racist connotation. Now, of course, you can use it in a racist connotation, but this is what's very interesting about the left and their mind games and how diabolical they are. The reference to monkey is an absolute racist use of the word when it is applied to a race. It is disgusting and it is disgraceful. It is perfectly legitimate when it is applied to a situation like Ron DeSantis was mentioning. Monkey things up, meaning, a monkey. Throws things around, runs around, does this, does that, does that. The Democrat Party in Florida, Mr. Gillum, their new nominee, who they really don't even want. Now, that's an interesting story about racism within the Democrat Party. The Democrat establishment didn't get behind Gillum, did it? And the media in our country want this to be about racism. They're obsessed with it. Not because they believe it. Not because they believe it, because they cannot win elections unless they destroy the unity of the country. Unless they undermine all the progress that's been made, certainly since the Civil War, certainly since the Civil Rights Movement. They cannot succeed unless they divide us, unless they promote racism. That's why they attack Tiger Woods. That's why they attack anybody who doesn't fall in line. Ron DeSantis for governor in Florida. We can wish it would be a debate about the issues and the ideas and what each candidate stands for. But the Democrat Party in Florida, they are embarrassed by their nominee. He was not the establishment's choice. They are embarrassed by their nominee. They nominated a radical socialist. And now they got to deal with the consequences. I'll be right back.
Mark Love.